Hi everyone, this is Brian Hayes and welcome to the third video in our series on Slide Dobro basics. Today we're going to focus exclusively on left-hand technique. We'll look at the range of techniques that you'll need to get under control to be able to play in a variety of styles on Slide Dobro and on lap steel and pedal steel guitar should you wish to expand your slide playing to those really interesting instruments. I'm going to adjust the camera angle again to focus exclusively on the left hand. We've got a fair bit to cover, so let's get started. I want to quickly go over some of the basic techniques to do with your left hand. The first is how you hold the bar. Now you'll notice there that the bar is held between the left hand thumb, the left hand third finger, and the left hand index finger just rests on top of the bar. So it becomes very comfortable and very natural after a while. It sort of just nestles in your hand. But the important fingers are your thumb, your index finger, and your middle finger. Your third and little finger have the job of dampening the strings behind the bar. So you'll notice that my little finger and my ring finger are really just resting on the strings. But it's very important that they do, that they dampen the strings. And if I lift them up, just have a listen to this. Now that's an interesting sound, but you may not want all of those harmonics behind the bar to be ringing on. There are times when we definitely do, but our default way to play the dobro and the lap steel and the pedal steel is to ensure that the strings behind the bar, and when I say behind the bar, up towards the nut of the guitar, are covered, so that what you're hearing is the sound of the string vibrating from down here where it's hooked up on the bridge, where it covers on the bridge, to where the bar is fretted. And by fretted, on a slide instrument, we actually never press the string down to try and touch the fret, but we must put the bar directly over the fret. On a guitar, you put your finger just behind the fret, just to the left of the fret. But on a steel instrument, you have to put the bar directly over the fret if you want to play in tune. Otherwise, you'll be a little flat or a little sharp, where that's the real note there. Now, you would have noticed in that opening riff that I did a number of different techniques. Hammer-on techniques. So if you're a guitar player, you'd be familiar with the term hammer-on. On a slide instrument, it's sometimes called a drop bar technique. So that's where we're basically dropping the bar down on the string, and the vibration, the friction, the impact of the metal bar, the heavy metal bar on the metal string is enough to sustain those tremolos and trill effects. So that's one of the effects that you've got to get good at with the bar. Now, as I explained in the Volume 1 tutorial, I'm a big advocate for using a standard lap steel or pedal steel style, fully round stainless steel bar with a bullet end on it. I just think musically you can get a lot more warmer, more musical sounds on the dobro than the traditional dobro bar. There are plenty of fantastic players of the dobro who use the traditional dobro bar, but I'm actually not a traditional dobro player. I don't like the nasally sort of hillbilly sound of the dobro. I like the warmer sound of the slide instrument that gives, and the dobro with its wooden body gives a really beautiful balance between a metal sound and a wooden sound. Just like that, a single string melody can sound beautiful and warm on the dobro. It doesn't have to sound like dueling banjos. Nothing against dueling banjos. If you like that sort of dobro playing, get a standard dobro bar and you'll find it's much more trebly, much more nasally when you play. My preference is this sort of Jerry Bird style bar. This is a Jim Dunlop lap steel bar, and I strongly recommend that, particularly if you're going to play the pedal steel guitar. It's really comfortable to just change from pedal steel to dobro if the feeling of the bar is the same in your hand. So one of the techniques is the drop bar technique. Another technique is where we have to point the bullet end of the bar to a single string to play a note, just like I did a minute ago down here. But if we look at the first 5 notes of a G scale, if we look at the 3rd string on the dobro, that's the note G. The 2nd fret is the note A, same as a guitar, same notes as the notes on a guitar. 4th fret is B, 5th fret is C, 7th fret is D. G, A, B, C, D. But look how I had to play that. I didn't put the bar flat across the strings. I pointed the bar into the note that I wanted to play. G, A, B, C, D. And that's a big part of getting good technique on any steel instrument, is to be able to direct the bar to a single string and to a specific note that you want to play. Now, if we play the open 1st string, which is a D string, and if we play it at the same time, so if we play the 1st and 3rd strings together and play those same 5 notes, we get a G scale that's in 2-part harmony. And I really recommend that as a great starting exercise to develop some left-hand technique, some accuracy in where you are pointing to those notes. I'll just do that again a bit slower. So G, A, B, C, D, C, B, A, G. And of course the 1st string is a D, and it's just ringing on permanently there. We can actually play the first 3 strings and sort of play that harmonised scale. There will be one note that'll sound a little clashy, but let's have a listen to it. Okay, so that's in 3-part harmony. Have a lot of fun and get some really interesting sounds just by pointing your bar to the correct notes on the different strings. I just played there D, E, F sharp, G. So that time I put the harmony down on the low strings. I'm sure you get the idea, and you can have a lot of fun experimenting on your dobro as to that combination of a single pointed bar string and open strings. Now, when we play traditional chords, if we want to play a 6-string chord, because this is an open G tuning, if I put it on the 5th fret and cover all 6 strings, I'm now playing a C chord. So if I want to play, for example, C, C sharp and D in chords, so you can see there I'm covering all of the strings with the bar, and I'm just brushing the 6 strings down here with my thumb and using my 1st finger to play the 1st string. Now, a great exercise to get some bar control is to just chromatically, in this case we'll go up 3 frets, we'll go C, C sharp, D, D sharp, and just try and get accuracy in your bar control to hit those 4 frets there starting on the C, to play those chords in tune. Try it with me now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, it's actually harder to play an exercise like that in reverse, because when we're playing it in descending order, we're actually playing blind. We actually can't see the next fret that we're trying to play. Our hands and the bar are covering it. And I'll just pass on a brief story that I saw on YouTube just the other night. One of the last interviews ever filmed with the late great Buddy Emmons, the world's foremost pedal steel guitar player. In many ways the inventor of the modern day pedal steel, not only mechanically but also tuning, and just set the benchmark as to what you could do technically on a steel guitar. And what he revealed in that interview is that his whole life he practiced in the dark deliberately. So he'd go home, go to his practice room, turn all the lights out, and play his whole practice session in the dark. And what he said is that he liked the idea of being able to play the steel guitar blind, to have to hear where the notes are and feel them and not see them. And he found that if he just tried to close his eyes, his focus after a while was to keep his eyes closed rather than to listen to what he was playing. So by turning the lights off, he could just leave his eyes open, but he couldn't see what he was playing. And his hearing senses and his sense of touch were heightened by the lack of his, eyes being able to see. I just shared that with you because it's one of the secrets, I think, to Buddy Emmons' famous bar technique. For all of us mere mortals, when we try and play in reverse, it's a bit of a guessing game. And, Emmons obviously picked that up early on, and the accuracy of his bar technique speaks for itself. So there's a little tip. Maybe try that. Practice in the dark, or practice with your eyes closed, or get some sleeping goggles or something, and just get to the point where you're listening to what you're playing more than looking at what you're playing. Now, one final technique I want to talk about is vibrato, and you would have saw me use vibrato naturally when I play. It's just part of my playing. And that's where the bar wobbles, either rolls. If I'm playing a chord, I will often roll the bar. So you can see what I'm doing there. I'm sort of twisting the bar. I'm rolling it. I'm not sliding it. If I'm playing single notes, I generally slide the bar. I'm actually sliding that bar left and right. But if I'm playing a chord, I generally roll the bar. If I'm doing like a big band shake, obviously in that case I'm sliding the bar everywhere. And of course the other thing that I'll just close on is the ability to pull the bar back from the strings when you're playing chords. And if we go up here to our 2nd fret on the open G tuning on the Dobro, right across that fret we have an A major chord, A, C sharp and E. So if I want to play an A 7th chord, if I play the 4 low strings, the thick strings, but pull the bar back so that it's now only covering the 3, 6, 5 and 4, the fat strings, the 3 of them, I've turned an A major chord into an A 7th chord. Because now I've got an A, a C sharp, an E, and an open G. And of course that's the 7th note that makes an A major chord into an A 7th. Now right across the 2nd fret we can get some interesting sounds. If we pull the bar back from the 1st string we get an A sustained 4th chord. Because that string out on the front now is a D string. So we've got an A chord with a D. If we pull it back another string, we've got the D sustained, but we've also got an added 9th, a beautiful sounding chord. So I've got the bar there covering 4 strings and 2 are open. Pull it back one more, we've got that A 7th chord. But if I add in those other 3 notes down there, you've really got a combination there of an A major chord in the bass and a G major chord on the top. That is a really beautiful sounding chord. And the trick there, of course, is that we've got to develop the skill to not just cover all the 6 strings with the bar all the time. We've got to constantly have the ability to move the bar back and forward and to point to individual strings and individual notes. I hope you've enjoyed working your way through the 3rd video in our series on the Slide Dobro. We've covered a lot of ground quickly in today's tutorial, so don't be scared to go back and have a good look at Volume 1, Volume 2, and then come back and have another look at Volume 3. And hopefully, collectively, you'll get a pretty good feel for the left and right hand techniques and the overall basics for playing the Slide Dobro. As always, keep in touch via my website. That's www.brianhayes.biz. That's B-I-Z. Drop me an email if you have any questions about playing the Slide Dobro. And make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's the easiest way to keep up to date with all of the latest videos that I upload for the many instruments that I play and teach. Bye for now.